Hey, what are you... Where am I?
I see you have found your seat, Mr. Kincaid. You are VIP for me now.
Don't hurt me, don't hurt me.
I heard you were stirring the pot, Kincaid.
I am stirring the pot.
This is stirring the pot with Don Kincaid. Now give me my money.
This is stirring the pot. I gotta roll up my sleeves for this one. I am scared to death. This is stirring the pot with Don Kincaid and I better say very special guest or he'll kill me. My very special guest, Maksim Morosov. Is that correct, sir?
It is Morosov, however, you get it wrong every time.
I try my best, but I mean, it is what it is. I appreciate your time with this whole crazy COVID thing going around right now. How are you doing over there?
I have Xbox and Skype, so I'm doing okay.
Oh wow, hey, those are your essentials. You're a big guy. Don't you need some food of some kind? Did you go to the supermarkets and buy up all the meat and stuff?
I have chickens in the backyard, and I grow my own vegetables.
Wow, you're all ready. Holy cow.
Let the apocalypse come. I'm ready for zombies now.
Well, Mr. Morosov, I think that's the first time I've seen you smile without like giving somebody violent pain. I really appreciate your time and sitting with me. We do have a bit of a history through a couple different promotions, if you will. We'll jump into that a little bit. This is all about Morosov. Maksim Morosov. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Morosov. Well, I am understand you cannot understand. It's okay.
Okay, all right. I'll try my best again. Morosov. That's too much, right?
Morosov. Just Morosov.
Morosov.
Yeah, there you go. See, there you got it. You do some things right.
Yeah, thanks. Mr. Morosov, I've seen you in, if I'm not mistaken, I've seen you in our area because you have spent some time in the wrestling scene. But the first time that I've seen you was in Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling out of East Haven, Connecticut. And yeah, you came out of nowhere. You made an impact, and you haven't left ever since. Am I correct on stating that's where you started in PAPW, sir? In this area?
In this area, no. Actually, I started in XWA. I wrestled for XWA first. I trained with Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia for a little while, and then I went over to PAPW, and then I was training there.
I was just talking to one Bobby Rossi.
Yes, I know Bobby very well.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that coming. I thought PAPW was the first place. Okay, that's very vital information we need to know as fans. So you get into PAPW. They make you run roughshod on everybody. If you win or lose, it doesn't really matter because you just kind of annihilate everybody in PAPW. But then there's times that we get to get a little laugh in at the loss and the demise of one Maksim
Morosov. Yes. And there's no demise in Maksim Morosov. People get lucky. They get to win. It happens.
Please, lucky schmuck. You cheat a lot, first off.
What? I would never do that.
Almost every single, if not every single match, I swear you cheat.
I come from grade A stock. I'm not from this area. I originally started in Southern California. I'm a San Diego guy.
Wait, the Russians started in San Diego?
That's right. I started in San Diego. California Championship Wrestling in 1999 is where I first started training under a guy named Matrix and B-Boy, who is a CZW Hall of Famer.
Wow. I didn't see that coming at all either. Thank you for that vital information again. So how long were you out on the West Coast before you came over to the East Coast?
Since about 2006, and then I kind of was in and out.
Oh, so it was a roller coaster ride for one.
It was, yes. I had jobs and things like that, and so work took me different places, and sometimes you got to do what you have to do. And I worked small places in like Virginia and Florida and things like that.
So you're a man who was from state to state. Were you a hired assassin of some kind? Because that seems sketchy.
I couldn't tell you.
That is true. You couldn't tell me if you wanted to, or you'd have to kill me, and we don't want that.
Exactly.
Yes,
if you want more Don Kincaid files, and if I told you any of that information, there would be no more Don Kincaid files.
Oh, well, I feel love from that. That's the first time in our relationship. That's amazing.
So there you go.
Now, PAPW has given you many things to do. Right now, you are involved in a faction, if you will, called Collusion. Could you please tell the fans who Collusion is, what it's comprised of, and what is your direction of Collusion, please?
Well, Collusion is myself, Maksim Morosov, and Zafar Rahihi. And
wait, say that one more time.
Zafar Rahihi.
Okay.
You'll never pronounce these names.
No.
But and then Abdul Haq is, there as a manager. But as you can see in most of the shows that you've gone to, I am the mouthpiece which they needed most desperately.
Man, a mouthpiece indeed. We speak on these interviews. I speak of the whole package to make wrestling really stand out, yourself stand out, because you're your own brand. You seem to be very comfortable on the mic. Are promos something you enjoy doing? Is it something you practice doing? What's with promos and Mr. Morosov?
It's funny because I was never comfortable in promos before. However, coming out here, I got more comfortable over the years doing them. And to all the other wrestlers out there that have issues and troubles with promos, find something to talk about and just do it, and just talk about anything, really. And then the more you do it, the better you get at it. So,
have you? I've been told that some of the men and women in the industry, they practice in front of a mirror. Is that something that Mr. Morosov does?
It can help, yes, but the best practice is in front of a crowd. You have to do it in front of people. You get the reactions, gauge their reactions, and then it makes you comfortable doing it in front of an audience, depending on whether it's 1,000 people or 100 people.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. And I say that I compare music and wrestling are very similar in many aspects. And it was the same way. Once you get on that live stage, it doesn't matter if there's 10 people and one guy sitting at the bar, or if there's 100 people or 1,000 people, whatever there was. You still come out, you perform no matter what, the same exact
absolutely
time.
It was absolutely. And for some of us, it's for me especially, it's like therapy. I love performing in front of people, and I love getting out there and doing the thing and being and entertaining in front of people. So, that's my passion, and it's something I love, and it's kind of putting a stepping stone for me now, because I am working on an acting career. So I've been working with an acting coach, and I'm kind of looking at stepping into that world.
Are we going to see you starring in Marine 76?
Who knows? Maybe I would do it. I'd be the big bad guy in that. I love it.
Wow. That would be amazing.
So WWE, if you're watching, you need a Russian bad guy. I've got you.
Yeah, Marine. What are we up to? Like Marine 75, right? Aren't we up to
something like that? Yes, probably. However, only one cast in that was an actual Marine.
John Cena, of course.
No, John Cena was never in the military. Randy Orton, he was a Marine.
Mr. Morosov, we were just discussing promos and not catering to the crowd, but you have to get the crowd involved. You need to get the fans invested in what your character is and what it's about. And I talk about character a lot on these interviews, and when you come through that curtain, you tell the fans, every single one of us, in any place you come out in, that you hate us and we should hate you. And I, I, I I have to appreciate those signals, because when guys come out of, or women, when they come out of the curtain and they don't give us any signals on what we're supposed to do, we just don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, it helps when I do actually hate you, so.
Well, I mean, I guess I should have expected that. But when you come out of those curtains, is there a switch that turns on and that crowd starts booing Mr. Morosov and company, or just Mr. Morosov? Is there a switch? What happens behind the
Absolutely. I mean, it's got to be, and you heard this from wrestlers all the time. It's you to like the 10th degree. So you have to take a little piece of you and then elevate that and boost that up a lot. But wrestling, the successful ones, they play off of emotion. If you can get your audience to feel something, whether it's anger, happiness, they feel sorry for somebody, anything, that's the point, is to get them to feel something. Not just to sit there and watch, but engage and actually be part of the show. That's when you really start to succeed in it, because when the fans start to feel like they are part of the show, they enjoy it a lot more.
And we do. The storylines are talked about again a lot. The fans, we need storylines to go by, because it gives us something invested with each character in those storylines. So you do your job fantastic, because there's been so many Russians in and out of wrestling, but you really, I mean, you kind of stand out. You have a good stature about you. You're a bigger dude. You get on that microphone and you engage with the fans. And I think it kind of makes you stand out a little bit more than some that have tried it in the past, if you will.
And I appreciate that. But like I said, I try to give an emotional investment for the fans, something to either get behind or go against. And, right now I happen to be the biggest villain in PAPW, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you seem very comfortable in that role, I must say. That's for sure.
I am.
So are we Skyping? I mean, I'm in my place in Connecticut. Are you Skyping from Russia right now?
I am actually in Connecticut as well.
Wait, we're in the same state?
We're in the same state. That is right. And right now I can't go anywhere because of everything that is going on.
Well, you should be confined even after this whole scare. You should just be confined, period.
You're probably right. I'm not going to lie.
How does one, Mr. Morosov, find his way on finding a comfortable tag team partner to be comfortable enough with, to work with at your side, and know that when you get in the ring, he's got my back safety-wise? Because the men and women, when you get in that ring, you have to be safe for each other and yourselves. How hard was it to find a tag team partner that you felt comfortable enough to tag with?
Well, as a far, it was really easy. He's been in the business a very long time, too, almost just as long as I have. And, I've seen a lot of his work, and he's very, very good. And so when we got together and we started talking and we started working things out and what we're going to do here and do there and the different things we could come up with, it actually meshed very well. And it was actually very quickly that we, grew attuned to each other. So.
Yeah, because Kalusha just popped out of nowhere. I was like, wait, what the hell's going on?
Ah, yes. Which is the best.
Yeah. And tag team wrestling, it needs chemistry. And it seems that you guys really, like you were saying, you found it quickly. But in front of the fans, when you pull off your performance, you seem very comfortable in the ring and doing such. And again, appreciative, because when you're on your A game in the ring, the fans just invest in it more. We enjoy it more, and the story, it's even told better when you're really polished and clean in the ring. And you guys really do a good job in there.
I appreciate that. Yes.
Well, I'm trying to suck up a little bit for the next time that I do see you.
Uh,
Because I mean, we've got this weird relationship. There's been this thing where I started booing you because that's what you do to Mr. Morosov. I mean, let's be real. But then even like I would boo you on Facebook, and you started charging me
Absolutely.
$5 a boo.
Well, yeah, I need money.
Okay, I need my money too. So this has trickled over time. I was trying to keep count, but it got away from me. And in the meantime, as the amount gathered steam and became bigger, your henchmen, and I will use the word henchmen very loudly. You had the pyramids of power. You had Aladdin. You had the warden. You had Aladdin, and you had Abdul Haq, and yourself and your cohort in collusion. I can't even say his name. All of you guys were shaking me down for money. I'm a skinny little. I mean, really, like, do you really need my money?
And the thing is I didn't ask anybody to do that. At first, I did it as a joke, and then it kind of took off, and it went kind of crazy. And then all these people, again, this is why I am the mouthpiece of collusion, is because I am so influential that I can have people do my bidding for me without even asking.
Well, I really thought you put a hit on me, like a hired contract, and that's why I was actually thrown over a shoulder, kidnapped, and beaten at a show in Agawam behind the said building. And damn it, I had a bump on my head for like 2 weeks. Thanks.
And I cannot take responsibility for that. That is on their own doing. They see somebody trying to mess with their friend or harm my financial situation, and they take offense to that. So,
well, let's get to the tail end of that, because I've seen you recently at a Friday Night Alley fight. And for you that don't know, Friday Night Alley Fights is this very cool, intimate setting. It's a ring. It's a kind of like a small warehouse setting, if you will. There's about, I don't know, 60, 70 seats or so set up in there. And it is such a great freaking time, man. And the fans love it because of the intimate setting. And I've recently kind of ran into you. The last Friday night fight, or was it the last Friday night fight? Was it you or Aladdin? I've got so many guys mixed up. All I'm saying is it was either you or one of your henchmen. They scratched me out of that's who it was. It was Aladdin at Unchained, or the one before that. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, because you have been avoiding me like the plague in the last few shows. We don't even talk anymore. You just run away.
Yeah. It wasn't you. It was Aladdin. He scratched me from the books. He said I was good. Did you get that memo? I have to make sure.
Like I said, I completely forgot until you brought it up. So.
Oh. So, okay.
Yeah, way to shoot your own self in foot.
I'll have to look into that with Mr. Aladdin. You're a big guy. You're a Russian. You're violent. You're mean. You're nasty.
All elements of a champion. So why do I have no belt right now? I don't know.
I've seen you tag team champion. What's the matter with that?
I was, but as rough and tough as I am, I think I deserve at least a shot at something.
Nah, champion schmampion. You don't need no belt.
No, I don't need it, but I will make it look better.
Whatever. Being a bigger guy, I've seen you change your move set just a smidge. I don't know if anybody's been noticing. Not much of it, but just a little tiny bit. And you do this twirling leg drop thingy. And
Yes.
I went, what the fuck happened right there? Where does that come from Mr. Morosov?
I grew up a breakdancer, and so a lot of that was influenced in my moves.
Wait a minute! You just said Mr. Morosov grew up like in breakdancing.
Absolutely, yes. I was a breakdancer all throughout high school and middle school, and
what? Are you guys even getting this? I mean, holy crap! So where does that move? Now I've heard I've heard the whispers because I've tried to ask a couple questions before I actually got Mr. Morosov in front of me, so I had a little bit of information. That move reminds me of something that I've heard about one Mr. Morosov. I'm told that you had a previous gimmick, if you will, or a character in your earlier days. And if I'm not mistaken, that little twirly breakdance thing, does that come from that previous gimmick? And
It does.
oh, it does. Okay. What was that character or gimmick, if you will? And talk to the fans about that, because we only know you as the mean old nasty Russian.
So in Southern California, I started my career as street style, in which I had primarily breakdancing. I did sea walking, a lot of dancing and stuff in my gimmick. And I was doing this in a place called Revolution Pro, which a lot of the guys who are the founders of PWG came from there.
Oh, okay.
So like Super Dragon was there, Scorpio Sky was there, a lot of guys from there. And so that was the thing that I was doing there. I was a lot happier. I was a lot more fun and bubbly, and I did some flippy stuff, and it was a good time. And then you people pissed me off, and now I am who I am.
Did you do like your move stuff? Was it flips and stuff?
Some of it, yes. I primarily trained when I first started. I trained more lucha libre and Japanese style.
Wow, I could never see Morosov doing stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's why my strikes are a little bit harder and things like that. And yes, I can still flip around if I wanted to, but why?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like we would want to see it, and that would probably be reason number one why you wouldn't want to do it.
I just like beating people up. It's fun.
Yeah, it seems that you are enjoying yourself when you do such things. I talk about evolution of character in wrestling, because you have to kind of see where your character is going, where the end game or the end goal is. And sometimes your mind breaks that character into stages as it evolves. Does Mr. Morosov have anything but the Russian in his future? Is that where you're kind of sticking? Is that your comfort zone? Where's this going?
I don't know. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. It's a natural progression. So, there's nothing that I can tell you outright of what's going to happen. It's going to naturally happen if it happens.
All right, I'll have to give that.
Which is the best way, honestly, because let's see, how many people have you seen that have played characters or have done these things, and it's been forced? And you can tell it's forced, and the fans know it's forced, and it's just not good.
You can definitely tell. That is very true. There's actually a couple in specific that I have in mind that really irk the hell out of me. I gotta tell you. And speaking of irking the hell out of someone, look who I'm squirting tonight, baby.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
Could you please talk about your relationship with Buff Dad up at the XWA Center?
So me and Buff Dad are very good friends. In XWA, I am not Maksim Morosov in XWA, as a lot of you know. And in fact, and I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. I don't actually even talk like that on a normal basis. So this is me. So in XWA, yes, I am Doc Shady, which is more of the street style element.
Are you guys getting a load of this shit right now? Are you kidding me? You're not even Russian.
What? Who says? Just because I don't have a natural accent, or do I have a natural accent? I've been in America long enough.
Oh my God! You just totally blew me out of the water.
Hey, that's what I do, though. That's what I do.
Oh my God!
I bring magic to the stage.
I'm actually sweating because I think my adrenaline just shot through the effing roof. Holy cow!
Yeah, and I know we talked about this before, and I wasn't going to do it, but you know what? The fans know. The fans that have gone to XWA and PAPW, and you have the split, although I do have a funny story. So Zachariah Gibbs was on the road with me because I've been taking some of those guys out to XWA with me to get a little bit more experience and things like that. So Zachariah Gibbs brings his mom and his aunt, I think it is, and they absolutely hate me in PAPW. I mean, have a strong. I think his aunt was the one that like cursed at me at Anali fights.
Oh, that's her?
I think so. Oh yeah, that was hilarious. But so they go to the show and they see me pulling into the arena and they see me going in there. So I'm match number 1. And me and Buff Dad have got this thing where we're called the Old Age Outlaws. And I do we spoof the New Age Outlaws, or the New Age Outlaws. And I do the entire Road Dogg thing. The ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all these. Oh yeah, it's hilarious. So we cut that. We do that whole promo, that whole segment in the very first match. And then Gibbs does his like 3 or 4 matches down the line. And then he takes off with his mom and his aunt. Well, in the car, he told me, he hit me up later and he goes, dude, he's like, my mom and my aunt were like, we left before we could see the Russian wrestle. So they didn't even know that was the first one.
Oh my God. So you're under Doc Shady.
Yes.
A totally different character, but your original character?
So it's a little combination of the original. So in 2001, I was signed with Extreme Pro Wrestling. So I was actually under contract on TV, and I did 4 pay-per-views with them, which was awesome. I was wrestling in arenas and stadiums, and I got to work some WWE names and stuff like that. So it was a good time.
I'm having trouble trying to look at you and hearing this regular voice. It's totally throwing me off.
Yeah, and like I said, I ad-lib everything, so.
Okay. Since we're at this point, where does the Russian name, the Russian accent, where does it come from?
I do a lot of different accents. So, part of me trying to step into the acting world too is I've always been into like the voice acting and things like that. I actually had a really good buddy who is a voice actor actually in California, and he's done some stuff for like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam and things like that. And he's still doing a lot of voice acting and things like that out there in LA. His name's John Allen. So if you guys look him up, he's really phenomenal, really good dude. But I've always kind of been into it, and me and my daughter, we used to do that accent all the time, just in the car messing around. And so Paul Roma came up to me and said, "Hey, I need somebody to fit this part, and can you do it?" And I hit him with the accent. I said, "Well, yes, of course I can do it. Look what else I can do." And he loved it. He absolutely loved it from there. So.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. That is so awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I mean, I've tried, as hard as I could to keep as much validity of the gimmick itself and keep, because there's a lot of people who have no idea that that I don't use that accent on a regular basis. And I try to keep it as pure as I can, but I've gotten to a point now where I'm wrestling XWA under a different character because that's what they want. And then with the acting thing, when I get into that, I'm going to have to do different characters. That's not going to involve that. So I figured, if some people realize it and they see it, then they know what it is.
So that was actually kind of answered the next question I had. You go back to XWA after you've been a Russian at PWA, and you want to wrestle there regularly. They want you there, but they want you to be a different character instead of the Russian. Yeah,
because I started there when I got out here. So I got out here 4 years ago, and when I started training and wrestling for them, so when I went to them and I started training from them, I had just blown out my ACL for this. It was actually my second ACL surgery. So I was getting back into the swing of things. I was getting recovery done and everything else. And, I was training and working with, like I said, Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia, who are phenomenal trainers. And, I was using the Doc Shady thing there already. So I was it was still a piece of what I was using in Southern California. And it was a mixture of street style and shady from XPW when I was on TV.
So
So
do you come out with a do-rag and all of that good stuff?
no, I used to come out with bandanas and stuff and things like that. So
So you must be having, I mean, out of the many that I've spoken to, you've got to be having probably one of the funnest times in wrestling right now. You're playing two different characters. There's not many people that can do it and pull it off.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I love this business, forever. If I can get out there and get more work, that would be great, because, that's really what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to get out there and get as much work as I can and try to make as much money doing this as I can. Because really that's the dream is
Right.
What can we do to make as much money as we possibly can? And that's why I started making the content, the videos, the YouTube videos, which I've been lacking on, but I've had a lot going on, which I'll probably start up again, and you'll start seeing more YouTube videos from me. But yeah, I'm having a ball. I love this stuff.
Speaking of said promos and videos, I have to inquire about a little thing that went on. It's kind of fallen off. There was a thing that was going on between there was a thing going on between you and Ref Gina. You were calling her your wife, and it was fan-fucking-tastic. I was cracking up at all of that stuff. Where did that ever start?
It was legit a spur of the moment thing. Like, she had no idea either. And that's kind of how all this stuff, I have such a creative mind. And it's awesome because I'm finding myself in a place nowadays where I can use it, which I love. And Gina put the hat on and she started dancing, and I saw it. We had a little monitor backstage, and I saw it, and I peeked my head out, and and I just went, "Oh, good, you did the Russian marriage dance. Now we are married." And so, and the look on her face was just like, "Oh no, what did I do?" And so it was fun to be able to just play off of that and do things with that. And Gina was such a good sport. She's so awesome.
Absolutely. And when you say the word "my wife," oh my God, me and my dad, that's that one word, my wife, or however you say it. I can't even count. And me and my dad, we just start cracking the fuck up. I mean, it's just hilarious, man.
Oh yeah, it was great. And then, like, even when I wrestle, I try to get her as our referee, and I wouldn't call her ref, I would call her wife. And so, just that little bit, that little piece, added so much to that element that.
But those are those little things that make us more invested into what's going on in the ring. So, like you said, being creative and having this outlet, it's got to be a blessing, because there's so much creativity in wrestling. I mean, it's a nonstop factory of creativity.
It is when you get to use it. So it's like a blessing and a curse sometimes, because you have all these different ideas, but there's no way you can use them all. And so you go to the promoters and you ask, and they have only room for so much, and they have directions of stories and things like that they're looking to go in different directions that they're looking to play. And so it does get hard to kind of try to fit all your ideas with other people that are trying to fit their ideas in too. But yeah, when you get to run with something, or you get to take something and go with it, it's so much fun.
Again, when you're in wrestling as a wrestler, having fun should be number one out of all of it. I mean, I know safety is first, but without inside and feeling that, and not just not having as fun as you should, it lacks on your own performance. It could lack on the safety of others. So seeing you doing what you're doing, you could so tell that you love every single second of it.
Oh yeah, and I think that's in everything in life. I think that if you don't enjoy something, then why are you doing it? Why are you going to that job every day that you just can't stand, and you sit in the parking lot and you contemplate, God, I got to go in here, and you have to psych yourself up just to go into work. And it shouldn't be like that. I did that for a while, and I had jobs like that. And it was frustrating, and it just ruins the rest of the time. And then you get home and you're just completely exhausted and overexhausted because you had to deal with all that. Mental exhaustion is a real thing, and
Very
what
true.
a lot of people don't realize, they get home and they're like, man, I didn't do anything but sit at a desk all day, but I'm so tired. It's because of that mental exhaustion, and it gets to you. So do something you enjoy, something you love to do.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree there, because music was in my life since I was a kid, like 16 and on. And I got to a point to where what we're speaking about now is, I mean, I love the live stage, but everything that it takes to make a band work with multiple people and going to these small places and dealing with the environments at times, it just wore on me after a while, and I kind of just put it all to the side. And then I'm thinking, like, okay, now what the F do I do? And I just went to a show randomly up in South Hadley, and bam, and I've been doing it ever since, and I've been having a blast.
And that's how it happens. And the thing is a lot of people that don't realize, in the things that you love to do, there is a lot of politics into it. Like wrestling's no different. Wrestling, there's a lot of politics. It's not always about how good you are. Sometimes it is. There are places that are, good old boy clubs, and they'll book these guys over these guys, not because they're better, but because they like them better, and things like that. And then there's the money aspect and everything else, and there's a lot of things that the general public don't see, or why are they going in this direction, and then people just kind of attack them brutally, and it's like, well, give it a minute, let them work out the story, and then maybe you'll see something that you didn't to begin with.
Right. I totally feel that. I was talking to one Mr. Bobby Rossi this evening. We did a Skype ourselves, and he had so much insight and like knowledge, and the way he was coming off, it was like he was so comfortable and confident on everything he was talking about. And you have that same thing, like you have a mindset of confidence and direction, and just what you want and how, and kind of how to project it. I find a lot of guys and girls, they don't know how to do that. Is there any advice from one Mr. Morosov to your peers, or even just friends or whatever that's in the industry, that you could pass on? What would be maybe some advice that you would suggest, or anything that you would like to say to your peers out there?
One thing that I tell, and I've taken a few guys under my wing lately, but one thing I do tell everybody, especially just starting out, be humble, and learn from everyone, because you'll never stop learning. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. It doesn't matter how long, this kind of business, the entertainment business, it's always revolving. It's always changing. So be willing to open yourself up to learn from everybody around you. And sometimes you're going to get those guys that give you bad advice, and you're going to get people that give you, really great advice, and take a little bit of all of it and just learn from it. But don't ever give up, because, it may get bad at times. It may be, you're at a low point and your matches aren't quality as good, or, you're getting put up against guys that aren't as good. And so you don't feel like you're progressing, but don't ever give up, because you'll get there. Wrestling is, like I said, it has its cycles, and sometimes you cycle down and sometimes your cycle is very high. So just don't ever give up, and stay humble. That's the biggest thing. You'll find more people want to work with you when you're humble.
That sounds like some solid advice from one Mr. Maksim Morosov. I'll tell you that, man. Thank you for that. That was very cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
Now, you spoke of Paul Roma, and out of the PAPW, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, him and Mario Mancini, they've got this thing going on down there with a couple other guys involved. That seems to be more of your home base. Can I say that is correct?
Yeah, it is now. And it's been tough for me, because I have traveled a lot, and I've moved from place to place, coming from Southern California, and then, moving out here. And now I've been out here for a few years. So it's been tough to kind of find a home base. And I'd like to say that XWA and PAPW are kind of both those places for me. And I feel like both of their, backstage and production are family. Whether it be Jose or Mike or Paul Roma or Paul Perez, Mario Mancini. Like, I love all those guys to death, and those guys are nothing but great to me. So, it's been a great time being out here and being able to work with guys like that. And man, if you ever get Paul's ear and he'll just go off on stories of his, time in WWF and the guys that he's worked with. And I mean, you could sit there and then look at your watch and that, a minute later and it's like 3 hours have gone by and you're like, what?
Well, that's fantastic. Now, not everybody is familiar with all of the wrestlers or even some of our past wrestlers. So for the fans, Paul Roma was a tag team champion in WWF with
WCW. He was his tag team champion in WCW, and then he was part of Power and Glory with WWF.
Oh, my fault. Yes. In WCW, and then became the Power and Glory. That's right. Thank you for correcting me, because Kincaid's not that bright. And they were Power and Glory, and what a fantastic team back in those days. Always, they had a look about them. They had the moves, and Hercules was gigantic, and Paul looked fantastic, and all of that.
Man. And Paul still looks great. Like, even where he's at now, he looks. Oh my God! Like, he'll go in the wrestling room, and you'll think he's the only actual wrestler back there sometimes.
So you're getting some of the best of both worlds, not only being able to play two different characters in two different promotions, but you are getting the insight of some of Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, Paul Perez. You're getting the insight of Matt Taven, Vinny Marsaglia, TK O'Ryan, Mike Bennett, maybe a little bit back then. You must be mind blown working with some of these guys behind the scenes to get your performance to where you want it to.
Oh man, I feel incredibly blessed by the people that I've been able to work with and train under. I mean, even from the beginning of my career with B-Boy, who's CZW Hall of Famer. He was one of my first trainers, and we were good friends back then. And then coming up in the Revolution Pro circuit, which is where, Super Dragon was, Excalibur, Scorpio Sky, like, there's some great talent that have come out of that. Joey Ryan was one of the guys that I used to run around with. John Morrison, I've met her up with, when I used to run in Sacramento. So a lot of really, really great guys that I was able to either work with or work under and learn from. Ron Rivera was the trainer and owner of Revolution Pro, which he doesn't do anything with wrestling now anymore, but he used to run with Conan in WCW. And so Conan was there a lot of times too, and I got a lot of good information and got to learn under Conan for a little bit. And then coming out here, I was able to learn under Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia and TK. And Matt Bennett did show up a few times, and I got to learn from him and all the guys that XWA brought. Paul London's a guy that I love talking to every time he's in town.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. And then guys, like Paul Roma and Mario Mancini. So you get, that old a little bit with the new. So it has been a great blend of learning and just information and knowledge coming.
Man, there are so many names you listed right there. They're all fantastic, but anytime that Paul London's name comes up, he seems to be just like pulled out a little bit more. Like, he's so knowledgeable and so just like his head is so in tune with wrestling. I'm to understand that about Mr. London. I've never met him, but you see him on camera and the dude's a wackadoo.
Oh my God, Paul London's a genius. Like, in general, he's got so many just facts, just general facts that he can spit off. Like, I love talking to him. I like just sitting there and just having conversations with him.
Well, those names, it's just, again, a privilege, and it's got to be just the word humbling, because you have to take all of this information. And now, when wrestlers learn stuff from a guy in a seminar, we'll say a seminar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They don't always take everything away from that. They might take a bit and a piece from that they remember, or that they would want to maybe utilize in their own character or own move set or what have you. So taking all of that and just building off of that, I mean, that's just amazing, man. And that now,
Yeah.
it really makes sense, because you just shine when the Russian comes out. He just shines and gets on that microphone and does his thing. And there's one thing that I have to say that really, again, that makes my father and I crack up. Not just me, but the rest of the fans. You put your arms up. You get the guys up in the corner, like in the turnbuckles over there. You get them set up, and then you take your feet and you start like kicking them, doing that Russian.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, that is one of the most amazing freaking things, and I pop for it.
And I didn't realize that nobody's ever done that before. And I'm like, how has there been so many Russian gimmicks and characters, and nobody's done the Russian dance while kicking somebody in either the chest or the face? Like,
oh man, that's amazing. That I will pop every single time.
And I'll keep doing it because it's fun to do and I like it. So.
Well, I mean, I don't even know how to say thank you, first off, for your time. But second off, when you turn that switch from the Russian to whoever really Mr. Morosov is, and we won't disclose that, that totally blew my effing mind.
Well, you have to be able to turn that switch, because when it's time to turn it on, when Maxim comes out, Maxim's out. It's not me anymore. It's Maxim that's coming out to that ring. And that's the way it should be. And, you know, I talk to guys all the time, especially the newer guys. Find out who you are. Find out who your character is, and be that person. You know, don't just act like that person. Don't go out there and just act like something. No, you are that entity. So you be that when you get out there.
The word kayfabe seems to have gotten lost along the line throughout the years. And kayfabe is basically you're keeping true to your character. And back in the day, the Ric Flairs and such, when Ric Flair went to the store, he was Ric Flair, obviously, because he's basically Ric Flair. But he kept character, or kayfabe, if you will. You seem to do that very well. So when you kind of turned the Russian off, it really kind of effed with me that much more, because you seem to hold that character very vital in the PAPW arenas, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, that character is a part of me still. Like, there is some Maksim Morosov that is a part of me. And that's the way that it should be, because that's how you bring them out and you bring them to life, really, is when they're a part of you, and then you can kind of ramp that up and amplify it. That's where I think the best characters are, is it is a part of that, whoever's playing it or whoever's being that person or that character. You know, Maxim is more of the angrier side of me that I kind of repress, and because I'm not normally an angry guy. I'm actually one of the most calm and gentle guys, but you know, there's been moments and I've had to repress all that, and Maxim helps me a lot, because I'm able to get all that stuff out in that character, and you know, I have a lot of places to pull from.
There's one question that I have left. I mean, I have a million. I could sit here all night with one Mr. Maksim Morosov. There is one question that I want to make sure that I ask you before I do let you go. The beard.
Yes.
What's going on? Where did it come from? Why is it there? You look very, very different.
Why not? You got to change your look, man. You got to, you know, one thing about wrestlers too is you start to get stale, and you have to change it a little bit. And that's what kind of keeps people interested. And they go, oh man, you know, look at Sheamus. You know, he's changed his look a few times every time he's come out, and people love him. You know, the best characters or the best wrestlers out there have tweaked something. It doesn't always have to be something huge or something big, but they've tweaked something that kind of changed them a little bit and made it so that they're not the same as what they were. Because if you watch a character for 5 seasons and that character never changes and there's no growth, there's no development, you kind of get bored of the character and you're just kind of like, whatever.
As a fan, whoa. as a fan, you expect the same old stuff time after time. So, like you're saying, when you change it up, and it doesn't have to be a lot. But what I find though is some guys just go dramatic from one end to the other, from the light side to the dark side, or from the dark side to the light side, and they go full blown from heel to face or face to heel.
Hmm.
Do you think that's something that's necessary, or just those little tweaks can
I think
really?
it depends. I think it really depends on the character. Like, are the fans getting behind the character to begin with? You know, is it something that you have to pull away and completely rebrand? You know, how interested and how invested are the fans in that person or in that character in the beginning? Because if you got somebody and you pull them out there and the fans just aren't seeing it, look at Bray Wyatt. You know, he came out as Husky Harris, and people were like, you know, kind of like whatever with this guy. But then he came out with Bray Wyatt, which was a complete overhaul. And now look at him. He's one of the most over guys in the business. So, you know, sometimes you do have to do that. You have to rebrand. You have to step back for a minute and go, okay, where can I change and what do I need to do to bring people in?
What I like to do, I like to try to get the insight of each person. I don't like to kind of ramble off the same question, but it's kind of all relative. Do you watch the current product being WWE and such, and all of the mainstream brands that are out there? Do you watch the product? Do you just kind of keep to yourself?
I do as much as I can because I'm so busy doing stuff already. So I find myself having to play catch up a lot. So I do watch. I'll watch Raw. I'll watch SmackDown. I'll watch AEW. I'll watch NWA. You know, I'll pull the highlights if I have to. But yeah, I still try to stay connected as much as I can because those are all companies I want to work for. Yeah.
I mean,
So
I'm not saying that I couldn't see you in. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that I couldn't see you in WWE or such. But man, with the way NWA is being run right now, I could see that being such an amazing fit for one Mr. Maksim Morosov.
and Nikolai Volkov's in there now. I would love to run an angle, you know, as the Russian, you know, where, you know, how dare you, Nikolai, or go on Nikolai's team as like his nephew or something. Like, how awesome would that be? But yeah, I think I can do some really great things and have some really good fun with those guys and improve their product. You know, maybe not improve their product because their product's already phenomenal. They've got a whole roster of, you know, incredibly talented people, but I think I could bring something to the table.
Absolutely, you would add another ingredient to the whole mixture that makes NWA tick, man.
Absolutely. And actually, a buddy of mine just was on there, and Luke Hawks, him and his son, they have a tag team called Hawks Airy, which promoters, if you're out there, hit those guys up, man. They're a phenomenal team. Luke's been doing it for a long time. He's in phenomenal shape. Like they just look really good.
Well, again, I can't thank you for your time with everything going on, and I know we're all kind of cooped up. So, I mean, probably it was like, you know what, whatever. I'll do it with Kincaid. Hey, that's fine too. I don't even.
Absolutely. If I can get a shout out to my social media stuff real quick, though.
I definitely want you to push your own brand because you are your own brand. So please tell the fans where they can catch the Russian on the medias.
Yes, and I've got a TikTok. I've got Facebook. Facebook, look up Maksim Morosov. TikTok, it's Maksim Morosov Red Dawn. I throw funny, ridiculous little TikTok stuff out there, and then Snapchat. I want to say it's Maksim's Red Dawn or Maksim Morosov. You can find me on Snapchat. And then Twitter, Maksim Red Dawn, and I'll put stuff, you know, back and forth on there.
Now you seem to have multiple platforms, which should be one of the goals with the girls and guys out there, so you can market yourself. Do you find the multiple platforms that you use does it take up too much of your time? I mean, obviously it takes up your time, but
it does take a lot of time. And it's hard to keep content up, and I'll have gaps and stuff where I haven't put any content. It's like my YouTube page, which is another one, Maksim's Red Dawn on YouTube, or you look up Maksim Morosov on YouTube, you should be able to find me. But trying to do the vignettes and the little funny videos that I try to do, I end up having gaps, especially right now when we're in the situation that we're in. It's really, it is kind of hard to maintain and then, get together with people right now to try and put content out. But I have some ideas for some stuff that, we're going to be doing. El Ref is kind of back in the fold. So me and him have some great ideas for some new video content that we're going to be putting up. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully one of them, we've got an idea for Paul Roma to be in one, and then some other guys. So,
well, El Ref seems like a perfect choice. That guy is as entertaining as they come. I love me some El Ref, boy.
Oh, I love him so much. He's so funny.
He has this thing where he wants to choke slam me because I'm a pain in the ass to Ref Bill, and it's kind of gained a little steam. So he's scaring the shit out of me because he's a big boy.
No, I actually like that. Continue being a pain in the ass to Ref Bill because he deserves it. Hey, come
here. Oh my goodness. Mr. Morosov, this was way more enjoyable, and I have to stress, way more enjoyable than I ever expected. I thought it was going to be like a whole tirade of you jumping down my throat and me defending myself through the whole interview. This was so much not that.
Yeah, and I like giving information out, and there's a lot about me that people, especially from the East Coast, that they've never seen, they don't know, where I came from, the things that I used to do, and stuff like that. But hopefully in the near future, you're going to see a lot more of that lucha influence and some of the stuff that I'm going to try to bring some of the old stuff to the table. So we'll see what happens.
Nice. I would love to see some of that in the mix because a guy that's a little bit bigger in stature doing those funky moves, man, it makes it look all that more impressive.
Yeah. And they're a lot of fun to do. It's just, man, as you get older, it stuff gets harder to do.
Well, your insight, your candor today has been just absolutely mind-blowing and amazing all at the same time. Your advice and everything you've given to the boys and girls out there, I mean, your time today has been amazing. It's been about an hour, and it feels, oh, excuse me, sir. And it feels just like we were saying earlier, only like 5 or 10 minutes. It's just gone by so quickly. So I appreciate your time. I truly appreciate your time, sir.
No, I thank you. It's great to get on a platform like this, and you've got tons of viewers that watch. So maybe they've learned something today, and maybe some promoters will take a look at it and go, maybe I can book this guy.
I would book Morosov. I mean, what the hell, man? He makes a crowd go boo in a freaking half a second.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely get him behind me. So if you got somebody you're trying to put over, you put me in there with them. Trust me, they'll be cheering them all day long.
Hashtag facts. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very, very special guest, one Maksim Morosov. Thank you, sir, and I hope that we get to see more of the Russian in the future, and I can't wait to see what the future brings for one Mr. Maksim Morosov.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate everything that you've done.
That's awesome.